Hi kindergarten friends, it's Miss Cozy. I had such a good time with some of you last weekend when we got to do O Kids Life Group. I know that not all of you got to come, but don't worry, we are gonna do another one next month in November. All right, I hope you're ready for this week's true story from the Bible that talks about the next part of the story of Moses. It's called God Makes a Way, and it's on page 92. You can follow along with the video or you can read it on your own with your mom and dad. But before we get to the story, we are gonna say our core truths together. All right, I'll see you after the story.
I am known and loved by God. Jesus is my friend. I'm a unique part of God's story. My true identity is in Christ, and I'm fully alive in the Spirit.
Whoever walks with integrity walks securely, but whoever takes the crooked path will be found out. Proverbs 10:9.
Zonda Kids presents the Jesus Storybook Bible. Every story whispers his name. Written by Sally Lloyd-Jones and read by David Suchet. God makes a way. Moses and God's people escaped out of Egypt and into the wilderness. They didn't know the way, but God knew the way, and he would show them. I will bring you to a new home, a special land, God promised them. I will look after you. I am with you. God sent a big cloud for them to follow. A pillar of smoke stretching up into the sky. It moved in front of them as they walked and shaded them from the blazing heat of the day. And when it was time to rest, it stopped. All through the cold desert nights, it kept them warm, glowing like a fire. God led his people through the desert to the edge of a great sea. They were just wondering how to cross it when suddenly they heard a terrible thundering and pounding. It sounded almost like horses' hooves. They shaded their eyes to look back and screamed. It was! Pharaoh and his army were coming to get them. Pharaoh had changed his mind again. "Get my slaves back!" he screeched and charged out into the desert after them with 600 of his fastest horsemen and every single chariot in Egypt. What were God's people going to do? In front of them there was a big sea. It was so big there was no way round it. But there was no way through it. It was too deep. And they didn't have any boats, so they couldn't sail across, and they couldn't swim across because it was too far, and they would drown. And they couldn't turn back because Pharaoh was chasing them. They could see the flashing swords now, glinting in the baking sun, and the dust clouds, and chariot after scary chariot surging towards them. So they did the only thing that there was left to do. Panic! "We're going to die!" they shrieked. "Don't be afraid," Moses said. "But there's nothing we can do," they screamed. "God knows you can't do anything," Moses said. "God will do it for you. Trust him and watch." "But there's no way out," they cried. "God will make a way," Moses said. Another minute and it would have been over. But then the strangest thing happened. God made the pillar of smoke move. It moved behind his people and hid them from the Egyptians. Then God sent a strong east wind to blow all night long. It blew on the water of the big sea. It blew it to the left and it blew it to the right until it blew it into two towering walls of water. And there, right through the middle of the sea, a muddy pathway opened up and God's people walked across on dry land. When the Egyptians tried to follow, the walls of water crashed back down on them and swallowed them up. God's people were safe. They danced and laughed and sang and thanked God. When there had been no way out, God had made a way. Many years later, once again, God was going to make a way where there was no way. From the beginning, God's children had been running from him and hiding. God knew his children could never be happy without him, but they couldn't get back to him by themselves. They were lost. They didn't know the way back. But God knew the way, and one day he would show them.
This week, our activity from our reflection packet is a craft. And it is a craft that reminds us that even when it feels impossible, that God can make a way, just like he made a way for the Israelites to escape Pharaoh when God split the water and the people walked through on dry land. So we are going to make our own path of dry land with our water and Moses. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna cut your blue paper on the dotted line. So you're gonna have two pieces that look like this, and then you're going to use a pen or a pencil to curl each piece. There we go, and you roll it, roll it, roll it, just like that. And then you take it off, and look, it curls. So you can do both sides. And then when you're done, you take your glue, you put it on all the way down like this, and then you put it on the edge. So when you're done, all of the pieces will be curled up. And then you'll have a path of dry land in the middle and Moses. And if you want, you can draw some little fishies on the water. You can get really creative with it. All right, I hope you have a good time making your craft. And don't forget, you also have your coloring sheet for this week's story and some questions that you can talk about with your mom and dad. All right, I'll see you guys later. Bye. Hi, kindergarten friends, it's Miss Cozy. I am so ready for our next story in the Jesus Storybook Bible. This week, we are reading the story, God Makes a Way, on page 92. You can get your Storybook Bibles and follow along with the video, or you can read it on your own with your mom and dad. All right, I hope you enjoy this week's story. See ya!